going off that first story, it's not your fault, dude. Like, listen, you asked her, "Do you have a boyfriend?" Her girlfriend, said she didn't have a boyfriend either. It's not your fault. But these days,
New sub got a couple for you. Hey man, gonna start by saying respect to you for giving people a voice and a spot to get things off their chest. It's more important than you think. I've watched a hell load of your videos today, and I like the way you go about things, so I'll give you a few stories. Out of decency for the parties involved, I'll use fake names for privacy for them. First story is kind of weird. I've heard a bunch of stories of being cheated on or the woman admitting to cheating, but I have a different perspective in this one. I was the cheaty, I'm not sure what you call it. Now, I 100% did not know she was dating someone. I even asked her to avoid anything like this from happening, and she didn't give any clues or hints of her being taken. Hell, her friends even told me she was single. So I was a junior in high school defensive end on the football team. And one of our trainers I had a thing for and would show off in front of her at practice. If you have seen The Office, we were Jim and Pam Close. So we'll call her Pam. So on game day, I asked her if anyone had her eye. She replied with, "No. Why do you ask?" I said something along the lines of, "I don't believe you," in a teasing way, and she assured me that she is single. Even her friend backed her up, overhearing us talking. Right then, I was like, "Oh yeah, I got this." Fast forward to during the game, offense was out, so I was on the sideline talking to Pam, and I asked if she would want to go out to eat sometime, and she shook her head but let out a smile. She then told me if we win, then I get to take her out to eat. If we lose, then I drop it. We played the rest of the game and clapped them 42-14. After the game, Pam walked up to me and spoke. Fifth quarter. Fifth quarter was a party at a wing place for players where they can order food for free after winning home games for context. So I showered and changed and met up with Pam, and we drove to the party. We ate and talked some. About an hour after we got there, she asked if I could take her home, and I said of course. Well, when we got in the truck, she made small talk about me being sore after playing. And I told her I'm fine, and I feel great. We hit every red light on the way to her house, I swear, but I looked over at her while waiting for the light to change, and she had the look. The eye of the tiger, I guess, is an appropriate thing to call it. She leaned over and started kissing me violently, and I told her we're making a pit stop before you go home. So we went by my house to do some extracurricular activities because my dad worked nights, so we'd have the place to ourselves. We go in, undress, heels to Jesus, then I take her back home. Didn't think anything of it. Went to meet my brother and our friend, we'll call him Dwight, to tell them what just happened. Text her all weekend, everything fine, then Monday. After practice, she came up to me and kissed me, and she went off with her friends. Guy walked up on the field while me, Dwight, and a few others were moving the equipment back inside the gym. He came up to me and asked if I was with Pam Friday at fifth quarter, and I told him yes. He asked if anything happened, and I told him yes again. The look on his face I will never forget. It wasn't anger, it wasn't sadness. It was like a kid finding out Santa isn't real. I watched hope and happiness leave a man that day. I immediately knew what happened and told him everything I knew as he started crying. I hugged him and told him, "I'm so sorry, brother. I didn't know. She told me she was single and her friend backed it up. I am so sorry. I got texts to prove it if you want to see them." Dwight walked up and asked what's wrong, and I said I'd tell him later. All he needs to know is I messed up. We'll call the guy Roy. Roy told me it's not my fault and thanked me for telling the truth. The next day, when lunch came, there was the holy grail of telling someone off. Roy went up to Pam at her table and slapped her tray off the table like it owed him money, and he stood on the table and yelled at her about what happened for a solid 15 seconds in front of the entire school. Me and him became good friends after that day, too. I sent him screenshots of all the texts that was in the time frame of them dating. I still feel bad about it, even though I was lied to and lead astray. I still apologize at least once a year still, and it's almost been 7 years ago. Next story is a bit darker, and if you don't include it, I understand, but please include the message at the end of it. So at the end of my senior year, I met a girl that we'll call Lazy. Well, when I met her, I fell harder than an anchor. I was straight mesmerized by her, and she was all I thought about. She was celebrity status, and I already know what you're about to say. And it's true. I became a can to her. We fought at least once a week and loud enough that we knew all the officers in the town by their first names. It never went physical. We might have been letting the neighborhood hear all our not so personal issues in the weekly episode, but we'd never hit each other. Well, for some reason, I was like, yep, she's the one because I love losing my voice once a week, so fit I'll marry her. In the meantime, I'm the only one working, paying bills, buying shh. She's watching TV and playing on her phone all day. Never cooked, never cleaned, never did anything to help around the house. The name makes sense now, right? I worked in logging, working 12-plus-hour shifts, and got home and felt horrible from exhaustion. She never once did anything to help me, and I was too blind to see I was the meal ticket. About 3 months into our engagement, we find out she's pregnant. That was the first time in 3 months I felt joy. True joy. Like that kid that got the Nintendo for Christmas. Kind of joy. Months down the line, I came home from work and she was on the phone with her mom. She acted really suspicious and talked lower than she usually does. I told her to tell her mom I said hi, we talked, and I got in the shower. I got out, and Lazy brought up that when the baby gets here, we're going to be pinching pennies, and she brought up moving in with her mom. I thought about it, and we ended up doing that. One day, someone that is like a brother to her was needing a place to stay, and I offered him the couch, and he accepted. That's where I messed up. I came home from work, and in my room, in my bed, was Sweet Home Alabama, Lazy still pregnant with my kid. They were staring at me like I was Jason Voorhees or something, and I dropped my bag and said, "Oh no, don't stop. Please continue. I'll just be a minute." The idiot actually asked if they can keep going, by the way. I've never felt intelligence that strong since that day. She pushed him off and begged me to forgive her, and I told her that there are things I can forgive and some I can't. I'll let you pick where this lands, but I'm gone before you wake up, so hope it was worth it. I packed my things while she was holding my arm, pleading not to leave, and her mom was trying to talk me out of it. I just ignored and kept packing. Afterwards, I had some time to kill, so I sat on the couch eating Cheerios with Lazy trying to talk to me while I was trying to watch TV. I said nothing to her except, "You chose this," anytime she would try to get me to stay. After watching some of the things I had recorded, I called my brother and had him pick me up in the middle of the night, and I left. When I got to his house, I fell apart. I had to keep the front up while I was around her, but when I left, that was a dam that just collapsed. Fast forward 2 weeks, I get a call from Lazy, and she tells me that she had a miscarriage. I lost a daughter that day, and a part of myself. The next few months I don't remember because I drank until I passed out and repeated over and over and over. I truly wanted to die. Hell, if it weren't for my gun having a dual safety, you wouldn't be reading this. I was too drunk to figure it out. Solid Design Mossberg, by the way. Thank you for adding the dual safety. I literally owe my life to that. One day, though, I realized how I was acting, and it wasn't how I should be. So slowly, step by step, I got back to normal. If you don't include this story, I get it, but include this. At least, please, if you are struggling, don't stay silent. Talk to someone, anyone. Do not let yourself go into the dark parts of your head. You will get tangled up, and it is hard to come back from there. There is someone out there who cares about you. I'd bet $100. Fight through whatever demons you have and are dealing with. Be a life. Lives are important. Don't be a statistic. If you can't talk to someone for some reason, get a dog. It's a scientific fact that petting a dog will raise your emotional state of mind. Dogs are loyal if you have no one, but you have a dog. You have the best friend you'll ever have. Please talk to someone, though. You have no clue what you could accomplish. Stay strong. Sorry for the extra long email, but those are my stories. I got another, but I'll send it another time. Take care, brother. My story, Revenge in Possibilities. Also, I was a simp at this time. Makes me want to throw up thinking about it. This is a throwaway account. Don't worry. I'm saying this because the girl is pissed and her daddy is rich. Thank you for our work. You speak the truth. I am currently 18. This happened 2 years ago. I go to a small high school where there are only about 100 students and about 20 teachers. I just entered my sophomore year. My friends were bugging me about not having a girlfriend. I said this to their faces. You guys are one to talk. One of their girlfriends had turned out to be a lesbian, and the other had killed herself. I told them next time I need relationship advice, I will talk to OJ Simon. As the new year started, I noticed after a while that there was a new girl. Let's call her Jane. Jane was a freshman, but still 6 months older than me. The bad boy were saying she looked like a virgin, and they would mind not making her one. I had to agree with them. She was a 10/10, but she was modest. I thought she would never look at someone like me. A few months later, I found out, through a friend, that she had a massive crush on me. Jane talked to me a few times in the hall, but I thought she was just being nice. At the time, things were rough in my family. I am in a middle-class family in the United States. My parents were constantly arguing, and my older brother said that he didn't want me around that level of toxicity. By the way, my mom has a medical condition that basically makes her always on her period. Also, my mom's mother was in her 80s and was still affected. Anyway, we talked on the phone and dedicated to become a thing. She said if I ever needed anything, let her know. A few weeks later, my brother and mom got into an argument, and he left a few hours. She then directed her attention to me. She broke me down, so I went to a part of the house my mom would never check, and called Jane. She talked to me and said she cared about me and no matter what would still like me. I felt better and continued on through the next 4 months. Then Jane said she wanted to take a break, and I let her. She started going out with a bad boy. Let's call him Jeff. Jeff used her as a rebound. He was always in trouble. However, he gave it all up for the girl he loved. Then she spat in his face when she went to college. We are great friends now. Dude is like a brother to me. This was around my birthday, and it sucked all of the fun out of it. After Jane started dating Jeff, she had her friends harass me online and at school. Her friends said to me, "There are a few body parts you are not going to use. I think we should cut them off. Or would it be better if you just died?" I told Jane about this, and she said this was all part of her plan. She made it so I could depend upon her, and then when I needed her the most, she kicked me while I was down. At the time, no matter where I went, I was made fun of and treated like trash. My grades started to suffer, and my parents started to hound me about it. I expected this. I tried to tell the school, but everyone I told dismissed it or said it was gross. At the time, I felt like killing myself. However, I found out about Reddit. I joined our Suik to watch and met the man that saved my life. I don't know much about him. He told me he was a veteran and was in Delta Force for several years. I just asked for help, and he told me he could help me, or strip me down and rebuild myself to an almost unrecognizable person. I chose the rebuild option. During the rebuild, I studied some of history's worst moments. It was part of what he called training. I worked out marching with a 60-pound backpack, studied psychological warfare, and started taking martial art, Krav Maga. I even managed to get rid on sadness. He teach me to turn it into anger and use that as fuel to propel me forward. He gave me a nickname and a serial number. He said it was to make me feel a part of myself and to make me think about the greater picture. I went from simp to red Phil in a matter of 3 months. My parents kept asking me what was wrong. I changed my perception of the world, the way I go about life. I even changed the very way I think. They noticed a drastic change, and my teachers too. I was not rude or mean, but I would stand my ground or die trying. There was a school dance at a hotel, and Jane and Jeff was there, and I ignored them and hung out with my bros. I am still friends with them. Then skip to next year. There, where rumor that Jane had slept with other dudes before coming to our school. It was true. It was also me. She put it all on her social media. Then I got word she was out with one of her friends. She was with her friends and said something extremely racist. She said that she believed that the United States should make slaves legal again. We were both white, by the way. Racist thought. She was shunned from a lot of groups and people and was having trouble. She made it to the end of the year. I give her credit for that. She was changing school and barely talks or texts anyone from our school. I heard from a friend that goes there she is having it rough. Some of the rumors may have spread to their school for being easy and a racist. In the end, I won and felt a hell of a lot better then. Overall, I'm glad it happened. Gave me a good life lesson. I have slight anxiety now and possibly PTSD. On average, I got about 4 hours of sleep sophomore year and lost 15 pounds. I gained back by working out and eating right. I have less friends, but those are the ones I can rely upon, and I will not likely get betrayed. I have not been in any serious relationships and don't plan on it. I have friends with benefits. Thank you for your channel and the work you do.
These days, listen, you have to expect her to have a boyfriend. You can deal with a woman for months, 7, 8 months. And it turns out, oh, her boyfriend's back in town, or he showed back up. Maybe he's in the military. Maybe he's a truck driver. It's crazy. They all got boyfriends, meaning they all got someone that's playing the boyfriend role while they have other people playing other roles. I don't know what's gotten into women. I specifically had a woman tell me this, not recently. This was back 2019, no, 2020. Back in 2020, the woman said specifically how she knows for a fact if every woman can have their way, they'll have multiple guys. One guy that can do this, one guy can do that, this, that. They just want a variety. I don't know why, but expect her to have a boyfriend, just expect it. Honestly. Guys, if you want to send in a story, send it to truestorynation@gmail.com. Here, I'll put it on the screen. That is truestorynation@gmail.com. I'm going to catch you guys at the next one.